Alright guys, let's knock another horror franchise out of the way and rewatch and talk about the Omen franchise. And today we're going to talk about the original Omen from 1976, which I have seen before. I have seen all five of the Omen movies before. I bought the box set to rewatch them, and the box set I think is really cool. Hold on, I'll show you. It's so cool. It's literally this set. I think that's so cool. Really love that artwork. That's really incredible. But anyways, let's get on to The Omen from 1976. This one is one that I appreciate everything that it does for horror, or what it did for horror. This is a very interesting horror movie that people love, and I can see completely why. And this is directed by Richard Donner, and who directed Superman a couple years later, and also things like Lethal Weapon and a lot of other things that are not horror. And then this movie also stars Gregory Peck, who was not in real horror at all either. So it's interesting to have the lead actor and the director take on a horror movie where neither of them really were involved with horror, and they made a fantastic horror movie. I think that's really awesome and really cool. And I love when they do that. I love whenever somebody can do something that's not the same genre and be in a fantastic product. That's really awesome. And starting out, I love the fact that Robert Thorne, he gains Damien, or the Antichrist, the son of the devil, out of maybe this plan that the devil had to kill his own baby, and then he switches it out without telling the wife, and they take home the son of the devil, and nobody knows. And I like the fact that this movie is very subtle with it at first. Like, it doesn't even have anything really relating to the devil. It's just like his child died, and then he gets this other kid that he switches with. So I really like that it doesn't even involve anything. The first kind of creepy scene, but then it's like a happy scene, is where Damien, like, they're at the park and Damien's gone, and they're like, "Where's Damien? Where's he at? Where's he at?" And then they look over and he's just smiling and waving behind a tree, and it's all happy music, and like it kind of dissuades you from realizing what the movie is. And then we get to the first, really one of the most memorable scenes in any horror movie ever, is where the Rottweiler shows up and it looks at the babysitter, and it puts her in a trance. So she goes up to the top of the house, says that, "Look at me, Damien, it's all for you," and she's hung herself, like put a noose around her neck, and jumps off and breaks through the glass and just hangs there and dies. And it is one of the most effective scenes in any horror movie ever. I think that it actually is really disturbing and creepy. And I love that scene. I think that scene is incredible. Truly one of the best scenes in any horror movie ever. And I know everybody says that it's a great scene, but that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie overall. That is fantastic. And I also love, nobody mentions either, the nanny Mrs. Baylock. I think that she actually is really, the actress who plays her is really terrifying and really works, because the way that she manipulates the Mr. and Mrs. Thorne, and how she's there to teach Damien the ways of the devil, like you're like training him to be what he's going to be. I love how she's all fine around the parents, and then whenever they're gone, she just has this stern look, like an evil look, that she just is going to teach this kid shit. And I think that's pretty cool. And also, like, the moments of, like, where, like, nothing horror is really happening, but I love moments where, like, they go to the church, like they're driving to church, like, because the Thorns go to church, and Damien is going to church for the first time. And of course, Mrs. Baylock says, like, she's trying to dissuade them out of it, like, she understands, like, this is not where the devil should go, not where the son of the devil should go, not to a church. And I love that moment where they're driving up to the church, and Damien just looks at the pillars, like, looks at the church building, looks at the pillars, and just goes, and, like, he just starts flailing and freaking out and screaming, "No!" And, like, he just starts, I love that. I think that's great. And I think it's a hilarious reaction, like, with the kid. Like, it's genuinely so hilarious when that kid's just like, and, like, he just looks up at the church and is furious, like, or scared. I guess he's more scared because the mom says he's shaking in my arms. So I did like that. That's a great scene too. And again, I love how the movie does that, where it's a very effective even whenever there's not anything horror going on. It's just horrifying to him because he's going into the Church of God. He does, and he is a 5-year-old, but he understands what it is without knowing what it is. So I love that as well. And then I love whenever it starts escalating more where Damien, he's the son of the devil. So like they go to a zoo and all the animals like run away from him. All the animals just bolt and run as fast as they can away from this kid. They are terrified. And I like how that plays with animals know more than humans do. And this, I don't know if this is the first time that that's happened in a horror movie, but it could be one of the first where like animals run away from a scary entity that's normal looking and human, like this kid. And it's very interesting too how they have the devil act on this movie, where like he uses everything he can to kill people in different ways, kind of like Final Destination. Weirdly, like rewatching this, there are some Final Destination moments in this movie. Like there's one guy who's by a church, gets dark and stormy, lightning strikes, it strikes a pillar, and the freaking spear falls down and goes right through his body. And it felt very Final Destination. And I know that Final Destination came out with after all these types of movies, but the way that death works in this movie, or the devil works in this movie, is like death works in Final Destination. That's really interesting. I do like that because I feel like it would be right at a Final Destination with the guy getting the spear through him. And then the guy where the other guy he's walking down, and then like that vehicle comes down with that glass thing, and it just flies and cuts his head off. That is incredible. Great effects too, but that does remind me again of Final Destination. It's really cool, but the gore in this really works, and it came out before the slasher movie craze came out, and it does work, and it's effective. I do like the gore. It actually really is creepy. The head decapitation is better than the remake one, where like it's like CG head and it looks really fake. This one feels real and uncomfortable, and I do like that. And also like whenever Damien like accidentally knocks over the mom off of the second floor and she falls down, it's effective, but honestly that's one I'd prefer over in the remake, where like it actually feels like she fell a distance in the remake. In this one it feels like she falls like 2 inches off the second floor into the floor. Just how it's filmed, it feels like she just falls like not even a foot on the ground. So it is kind of silly in this one. And it works way better than the other one because, speaking of CG done in a better way, it had Julia Stiles fall down, and like you could see her just body fall and fall and fall and then land on the ground. This one, it's just like you see a second of it, like she just fell like under a foot onto the ground. So that's one dated thing where like she falls off the second floor. It feels like she barely falls off of anything. And I do prefer that in the remake, funny enough. But again, there's things I don't prefer in the remake, and we will get to the remake. But I really like that, and I really like how the movie has no real score except for the choir. Like the only thing, it's only whenever creepy shit happens with Damien or with the devil acting upon, like with the Rottweiler, or with it just having stuff happen like in a Final Destination way, like all the ways that the devil acts, and the ways that whenever Damien is shown and does creepy things, the music choir plays. But this is not a movie with a full score, and I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that this has a unique quietness to it whenever it's a normal movie, and then whenever it gets to the scary stuff, it's got a demonic sounding choir. I really like that. That's really awesome. And there's one negative I guess I can give this movie, and to me, I feel like this honestly could have been shorter. I do like a lot of slow burns, but this one, it loses me whenever Robert Thorne goes out and tries to solve the mystery, where he goes to all these places, where he goes to find all these hints. it just really felt like it was unnecessary to me. Like, people might disagree, but for me, I was just like, this just feels like it's too overly long on purpose. And this isn't even a super long movie, but still, it's just like, I don't know, I didn't really care for the scenes of Robert Thorne going around trying to solve the mystery. Um, and again, I love slow burns, but this one just didn't work very well for me in that instance later in the movie. Like, towards the end of the movie, I was like, okay, come on. And I'm usually not like that in these types of movies. I just got bored really fast. And again, like, they're like, the kills in this are awesome. Like I said, the decapitation one, or the spear like through the body, or whenever the mom, Mrs. Balak, like, literally, I guess, throws the mom out the window of the hospital, and she flies through the car, and or through the van, and the van doors open, and she's just there dead. I think that's really, really effective, and I think that moment, those moments in this movie, really do work. And the ending is great, and it's a really cool way to end it. I like the fact that Robert Thorne goes and has to kill a kid, but he doesn't want to. He knows what he is, but he doesn't even have the will to do it. And of course, he gets killed, and Damien lives on. But like, it's cool to see how this character is through that struggle, like, towards the end. And even whenever he tries to stab Damien with that special knife, Damien's like, "No, Daddy, no, don't do it, Daddy," or something like that. And then, like, he does it, like, he gets shot before he kills Damien. But I like that, and I liked how Damien in this movie, he has some creepy looks, and I feel like he kind of understands what is going on with around him, with the devil around him, but I feel like he also doesn't know. I feel like he's just kind of not in on it. And in the Omen 2, they elaborate on that as well. So I did like that, and I did like how in the end of the movie he did have that kind of evil smile. And apparently, whenever I just watched Eli Roth's History of Horror, I've been watching that, and the episode of The Omen came up, or with The Omen in it came up, and Richard Donner, the director, said, like, that smile at the end, that creepy smile Damien makes, is because he was off screen telling the kid, like, don't laugh, don't you smile, don't you smile, don't smile at me, and then, like, that kid smiled, and on camera, on cue. Like, I thought that was clever. And I like how I know the backstory between why that kid just made that evil smile, but that's just because he was smirking and trying not to actually smile because Richard Donner was taunting him in the background. That's really funny. So the Omen overall, this one, I can see why everybody thinks this is a great horror movie. I do think this is a great horror movie. I feel like in some ways it's just kind of slow towards the end, where, like, I felt like I didn't need all that exposition, and I usually am a fan of that, but in this one it didn't work as much for me. I like these characters, I like the kills a lot, I like the subtleness and creepiness of this movie. I like how there's not a music score unless something evil is happening, and I like how it takes its time, and it is a very unique horror movie, and it is one that has been replicated a lot. But I do love this one for the most part. I do really like this one a lot, despite having some issues with it. And the first three Omen movies are a fantastic trilogy, I think. And this one, I think, is a great first one. I can see why people love it. But that is it on the original Omen from 1976. Next Friday, I will be doing Damien Omen 2. Really excited for that. Again, I love the first three movies. I think they're fantastic. So that's my final thoughts on the original Omen. Tell me down below what you think of this movie. And thank you guys so much for watching.